Hello everybody, Corey here. We are going to go over the trades and holdings for, I don't even know what today's date is, 19 August. Just a reminder, I'm not a qualified licensed investment or financial advisor. I just gather the data and present it to you to help you be more informed. YieldMax ETFs are extremely risky. Please make sure, sorry about that, please make sure that you understand the risk involved in these. All right, so I'm going to go over the trades here real quick, only because there's not that many, so I'm just going to do them up front and be done with them. So we have ABNY here. They've added 975 contracts to the synthetic and created a new short call with a 121 strike price that will expire this week. And then you can see over here, those total trades was negative 931,000. And then we have Coney. They had the synthetic strike price of 210 for at least 5,000 contracts there. They've closed those out and moved them. Same expiration date, but we went from a 210 to a 200 strike price. And as you can see today, I know I haven't been doing this today, I just did it, but $5 million there, the total. And then we have Murney here. They added 180 contracts to the synthetic, and then we have a short call with a new strike price of $93, and that was $178,000. Cost $178,000. Then we have Misty here, where they added 475 contracts to the synthetic and the 138.50 short call. And so they brought in $276,000. So that's the trades, and disregard Ulti down there, didn't even touch it. And then we have our holdings. So I'm assuming that everybody's watching this video has watched it before. I know the last, 5 or so videos I've gone how to read and everything else. But in this case, we'll just go straight in. All right, ABNY here. We have two short calls, 118, 121. Today we closed at 119.14. So we're over the 118 strike price by 1%, or $1.14, and we're under the 121 strike price by 2%. The majority, about 3/4 of the contracts are at that 121 strike price. So I don't know, maybe we'll see 10 or 15 cent upside here for the short call. But that's where we stand. All right, moving on to AIYY. We have a one short call, which is a $26 strike price. We're only underneath that 1%, or 38 cents. Possible upside here for the short call is about 15 cents, which is about 1.5%. Let me close that since we already... All right. So moving on to AMDY, two short calls, 152.50 and a 155 strike price. So we are over both of these. The majority of the contracts are at the 152.50. It's just a little more than half there. And we're over that strike price by 2%, or almost $3. And then we have the 155. We're only above it by 28 cents. So no upside here for the short calls, but the stock could still go up based on the synthetic market value. AMZ, we have one short call, 182.50 strike price. We're underneath that 2% still. Possible upside of about 46 cents, which is about 2.35%. Aptly, two short calls, 227.50 and 230 were below those 1% and 2%. The majority, or about 3/4 of the contracts, are the 230 strike price. So we're looking somewhere around 20-cent upside here for the Apley's short calls. BABO, we have 2 short calls, 81 and 83. We are over both of these, 1% and 4%. So we're above the one, almost $3, and the other one almost $1. So no upside here for the short calls. Oh, my apologies. I dropped my pen. Moving on to Coney, we have 2 short calls, 212.50 and 215. We're under both of these, 4% and 5%. The contracts, I mean, we do have more contracts at 215 than the 212.50, but not a lot more. So I don't know, maybe about 35-40 cents upside for the short calls. And then you can see here also where they moved 5,000 contracts down that we went over a while ago. Dizzo, 1 short call, $91 strike price. We're only underneath that 18 cents. Only about possible 3-cent upside for the short calls, which is only 0.2%. And then we have Phoebe, 1 short call, 540 strike. We're underneath that 2%. Possible upside of about 38 cents for the short call, which is about 2%. And then we have GDXY short call, $39 strike price, but we closed today at $39.22, so we're above that 22 cents or 1%. So no upside for the short call, but again, the stock price can still go up based on that synthetic value. Doesn't mean it will, but it can, and most of the time it does, so just keep that in mind. Then we have GUI with a short call, 165 strike price. We are over that 1% or $1.67, so no upside for the short calls here. JPMO, we have 2 short calls, 215 and 217.50. But we closed today at 215.45, so we're above the 215.45 cents and below the 217.51%, but it looks like the majority of our contracts are a little over, or about 2/3 of the contracts are at that lower strike price of 215. So I don't expect any upside here for the short call for JPMO. In fact, you can even look over here on the left-hand side. JPMO went up 2 cents today, while JPM went up roughly $1.50. Then we have Murney. We have 3 short calls here. We have 86, 90, and 93, and that's because of the trades we just had today. We got that, remember, the 93 strike price. So majority of the contracts are at the 86 strike price. We are above that 5%. Actually, I saw it at 9. I could have sworn it was at $90-something today, which I guess it could have been at some point. But yeah, so we're above about $4 there and 5%. Then the $90 strike price, obviously, we're 4 cents from that. And so, you know, we have almost 2,700 contracts at those 2 strike prices, and the 93 only has 180. But we are 3% below that strike price. But no possible upside here for Murney for the short calls. You can see over here that we did go up 20 cents today for Murney, but Moderna went up over $3. MSFO, short call of 425 strike price. We're underneath that 1% with a possible upside of about 16 cents, which is only 0.8%. Misty, 3 short calls. This one's struggling. Which, if you don't know, there's MSTX out there. I think I mentioned in the last one, if you do leveraged, it's 1.75% or 1.75. But yeah, so for this one, we have 138, 138.50, and 140 strike prices. We're below these 2 and 3%. Almost all of the contracts are the 138 strike price. So looking about a 43-cent upside here for the short calls. Then we have Nestle with a 675 strike price. We're over that 2%, which is roughly $13.50. So no upside here for Nestle's short calls. Then we have NVIDIA. We have 2 short calls, but these don't expire until next week. However, we are at or above them. So the 124 strike price, 20,000, which is a fourth of our contracts. We're above that strike price 5% or $6. And then we have the 130 strike price here, and we closed today at 130. And that's where the other 3/4 of the contracts are sitting. OARC. One short call, $45 strike price, and we are above it by 9 cents. So no upside for the short calls here. PayPay short call, $70 strike price. We are 1% below that, or 57 cents below that. Possible upside here for PayPay is about 15 cents, or 0.8%. Then we have Snowy with the 138 strike price. This one does have earnings this week. And let me look that up real quick. All right, Snowflake's earnings are Wednesday post-market. It's funny that they started doing this one. I bought my first share of Snowflake back on February 28th, which, if I remember correctly, that was earnings. Let me look real quick and see if it'll tell me on my iPad. I mean, it had to have been, because that's usually what I do. Oh yeah, it was. Duh. Yeah, they reported earnings that day. And I ended up buying a couple of shares. And they were actually, it's crazy. On that day, they were around $230. They opened at $230.75 and closed at $230. And then the next day they opened at $180, and then today we're at $130. So, yeah, we're over 40% down from February. And so that was February's earnings. So then we have, just curious, the last earnings was, dang it, it keeps moving. What day is that? May 22nd. Apparently I sold some on that day. But I'll just point out that that day we were at 163 open and closed 163. And then the next day, for some reason, we opened at 168 but ended up closing at 154. And we've just been going downhill. Well, we went downhill until July hit, and then of course those first couple of weeks it went up. I wish I had it pulled up on my iPad. I always forget to have the charts up and ready. But man, this thing hit on, what was that, August 5th, I'm assuming. You know, and everything just tanked. It was down at under $108. Anyway, okay, I know half of you probably don't even care, but yeah, February's earnings was bad, and then the next earnings was good at first, and then it just was bad. So I'm not sure how this is gonna play out. But anyway, short call 138 strike, price below that 5%, possible upside here of about 91 cents just for the short call, which is almost 5% there. SQE, we had two short calls, 67 and 68. We are 12 cents under the 67 strike price, and then we are 2% under the 68 strike price. Of course, the majority of the contracts are at the 67. So I don't know that we will have but maybe a few cents upside here for the short calls. All right, let's move up. Tesla, two short calls, 225, 227.50. We did close up about almost $7 today. So we're getting near. We're only 1 and 2% below those strike prices. Of course, as you can see, almost all of the contracts are at the 227.50. So we have about $5 more for Tesla to go up before it's totally capped. But it looks like upside here around 28 cents a share for the short calls. Of course, you see we got up into the $14 range today. I didn't even know that. Clearly, I wasn't looking. Or didn't look any today. Zomo here, we have a 121 strike price. We're underneath that 2%, possible upside of about 36 cents for the short call, which is about 2%. All right, then we have our short ETFs. We have Crash with our short put at 210. We are above that 6%. And then we have the dips, 119 strike price for that short put. We're above that 9%. Sorry, I was looking at some of these numbers, but the synthetics don't expire until October, so they're quite a ways out, and the long calls, of course. But we have Fiat here, short put, 190 strike price, or above that 8%. Fiat went up in price, 6 cents, and coin was down almost $1. 6 cents and $1. All right. I don't know that I've really looked at those spreads, of course. We're not doing this in percentage-wise. Anyway, okay, so YQQQ, short put of 456, and we're above that 6%. We still have a low outstanding shares in these, so not a lot of big numbers here. Probably a lot of people learned a lesson with Crash. It's under $15. Dips is at 18, and Fiat, that one's just right under 20, so that one's still not doing bad, but that's because Bitcoin's been going down, or staying down. Alright, anyway, I was just looking at the prices. Alright, so then we have YBit. So back to a long position here. We have a short call here with the $20 strike price. We're underneath that 4%. And a possible upside here for the short call of about 58 cents, which will get us over $15, which is about 4%. So we had a few of those there with some decent possibilities of going up. I personally, though, do not care for YBit. And that's basically because I was doing all those comparisons before that I forget about. And then when I combined YBit with this workbook, since we were only sticking with one ETF for now, or one underlying for YBit, and I forget to do the comparison. I need to just do that in a separate video, but the reason I can't just do it thinking about it now, because I'd have to do formulas, drag the dates, and do all that. But so I could possibly do this in a different video, but I know there's been, I guess we have some new people, right? There's always new people coming in, and issues or questions with YMAG and YMAX. I know I started answering one, and then they came back and clarified some things of what they were asking, and then I've yet to answer. So I'm going to pull that up right now. Okay. So they made the comment on being a lot easier for everyone if the total dividends received or the total distributed divided by the outstanding shares. Hence, that would mean changing the ex-dividend date to equal the same day or the day after all the other funds. So yeah, Jay has talked about that before, and at the time this was before, it took more days for things to settle, and that was one of the reasons, or that was the reason why the fund of funds was not on the same date. Now they did choose to do it to, about a week or so out, to give time for all that to settle. They may have been able to do it a day or two earlier, but just chose to keep it out. Now, I know this year they already have their schedule, and I doubt they'll change it. Next year, will they change it? Maybe they could if they want to, but he's talked about that, though, in some of his interviews. And then don't understand why the NAV of YMAX increase when YMAX receives the dividends to reflect the. So, hold on. Okay, let me reread this. It says, I don't understand why. Okay, I'm going to read it exactly the way it says because I'm confusing myself, or probably even going to confuse you. But it says, I don't understand is why doesn't the NAV of YMAX increase when YMAX receives the dividend to reflect the additional income? That's so strange. So, if you think about it, right, when the dividend is paid out, or let's start with the underlying, which in this case are the YieldMax ETFs, they actually drop in price on the ex-dividend date. If you notice, YMAG and YMAX do not drop at that time. So they've made it so that doesn't drop there. So technically it's accounting for those dividends to keep that YMAG and YMAX at the same price. And then it won't actually drop until the YMAX and YMAG pay out. So instead of YMAX and YMAG dropping on their underlying ex-dividend date, they make it so it doesn't drop until the fund of funds ex-dividend date. I hope without, showing it and trying to do it on a spreadsheet, that can be understood. If they kept this fund simple, the YMAX NAV would be a reflection of the average of all the NAVs. It is a reflection. It's the same as like these others. Let me zoom out here. In fact, you can see here, of course, in this case, they're negative cash on this YMAG, but they have money in the money market here. So cancel out, they have about 100,000 cash for YMAG. And then YMax is getting a little big here. Here, let me do this. So then in here you can see, of course, same thing for YMax. We have some negative cash, but we have a money market up here. So you can see all the holdings. But, yes, this is just like the other ones. The NAV is going to be the market value of all the underlying, along with the cash and the money market. Yeah, and you're welcome. I hope you're watching this. I'll make a comment on here. It's just hard to, respond on all of these, or respond in this much detail on this specific post. But if I confused you, or if I caused more questions, please just let me know. I don't know why I feel like I'm losing my voice. But yeah, so in case you want to see it, I never show it because I figure, people don't really care that much on here for these. But this is just the holdings. Here you can see all of the underlying and the contracts, the price and the market value of those. And I'll go back up here real quick to YMAG. So here's YMAG. All right, that was it for today, and I'll talk to y'all later. Thanks, guys. Bye.